And we're off and underway. Here comes the chase behind. This is a good move now. Lining himself up to the sprint. Is he going to take the stage? Yes, he is.
Hello, welcome to sunny Mansfield. We're here for stage 5 of this year's Tour of Britain, just putting the finishing touches to the finishing line. It's 4 years since we were here last, and Ian Stannard won with a 20k attack from the finish. Wouldn't bet against someone doing similar today, because yesterday was absolutely fantastic on the Queen stage. The Queen stage from Redcar to Duncan Park really lived up to its billing, with the racing hard and fast right from the very start. It was almost an hour before Magnus Sheffield and Harry Birchall managed to break clear just before the first sprint at Whitby. Tom Pidcock then caused havoc by attacking on the first categorised climb of Robin Hood's Bay. UNOX did similar on the next climb by bringing all their riders to the front and attacking en masse. This blew the peloton to pieces as they crossed the North Yorkshire moors. Eventually, everything did come back together for Omar Friley to take the sprint at Stokesley, but that wasn't the end of the action. Oscar Onley of Team DSM matching Tom Pidcock on the last climb of Carlton Bank. Then a trio did get away before Jake Stewart of GB Racing, with the help of Movistar, brought it all back together again. The final sprint of Newgate Bank was more of a climb, and everything blew apart one more time. Finally, this quartet were not to be caught, and it was simply a question of who would have the legs to finish in Duncan Park.
Serrano, is he going to hold off Pidcock? Here comes Pidcock with a charge. Pidcock alongside him. Pidcock just about there, but not quite. Serrano takes the win.
So Serrano just taking the win on the day, and with it moves to the top of the GC ahead of Ineos Grenadiers' Omar Friley and Tom Pidcock rounding out the podium. I'm now joined by former Tour of Britain winner Pippa York. And Pippa, it was the Queen stage yesterday, and it really did live up to the billing, didn't it?
It did. We had fabulous expectations of yesterday, and we met every one of them from start to finish. Always a little story developing, and in the end, a slight change to the script.
It really was, but the script was set by the Grenadiers. Magnus Sheffield getting up the road earlier on, and Tom Pidcock, with the help of Omar Friley, going for the win late on. It didn't quite happen, but they've shown their cards now, haven't they?
They have. So the first few days we saw Tom Pidcock looking disinterested, but yesterday in that last hour, you know, he threw himself at the race and, yeah, just come a little bit short against Gonzalez Serrano. So what happens now?
Well, it's all to play for on stage 5. Let's hear from some of the riders right now.
Yesterday was the only real day here that's hard enough to make some time splits on the GC. So yeah, we wanted to race for that, and you know, we spoke at the start of the day. We were going to go for Sam for the stage, and missed a couple of moves over Clayton Bank. So yeah, had to ride that back, and then the final move went on the climb that unfortunately Sam missed. Fortunately, he didn't lose any time on GC, so I'm still up there on GC, and yeah, we'll carry on fighting for the rest of the week and try and get something out of it.
On paper, it should be a sprint day, and maybe the break can stay away, but if it looks like it's coming down to a sprint, then we'll go all in for Case. And yeah, he showed already that he's one of the top sprinters here, so we have a lot of confidence in him.
We'll try with the boys to put me in a good position so that I can launch the sprint, and then yeah, see what that will get me today.
We are thinking that's one of the easiest stages here, so we will play like that we manage a barn sprint, so we will work for it and trying to sprint with Jordi Moyes.
It's the Tour of Britain. It's our World Championships, Olympic Games. I don't want to compare with other countries, but it's everything for us. It's the biggest goal of the season. We have been working for that the whole year. The reason why the team exists is goes around this race a little bit. Let's say it's the biggest visibility we get. And man, when you get the chances to ride with these guys, Movistar, Ineos, and the biggest of Tom Pidcock, and chatting with them in the peloton, and yeah, it's been great.
Pippa, 4 years ago when we were last in Mansfield, Ian Stannard and Niels Pollitt attacked 20k out, and Stannard ended up winning. But Pollitt is here again as the German national champion. Could we see a long-range attack like that pay off again?
We could. It would be in the interest of Movistar, who only have 3 riders to try and protect the race leader, Serrano. So that would suit them perfectly. But if it happens, you know, that depends on all the other teams.
It's a long shot. Chances are It's going to be a bunch sprint coming in here to Mansfield, isn't it?
It is. That's what everybody expects it to be. If that happens, you know, who knows?
Who knows, indeed. One of the best things about going around the country on the Tour of Britain is just seeing the kids out being inspired, watching the riders come through. It was brilliant at Duncan Park yesterday. Lots of school kids making a lot of noise and inspired by what they're seeing. We're going to hear now from Britain's greatest ever Paralympian, Dame Sarah's story on inspiring the next generation of cyclists.
Well, Skoda wanted to start the DSI Cycling Academy to provide an opportunity for under-23 women in a space where there wasn't as many opportunities. So the Skoda DSI Cycling Academy riders, they've been doing incredibly well, and they're all at very different levels. So it's been very exciting to watch them, and some of them have gone on to race teams, others have been winning races, and others have just been getting into the groove of regular training.
It's absolutely incredible to have the opportunity, to be quite honest. I didn't know a lot about it, apart from basically how to ride a bike when I got into the academies, but also just getting to meet up with the other girls and see how they're doing in their racing and in their lives. I think it's really nice to be connected to other women in cycling.
For women's cycling, the Academy is an opportunity for young women to get involved with something that extends them from a sporting perspective. So they work with a sports psychologist to help put into context what they're doing to create process goals.
I personally think I've progressed quite a bit, especially mentally. We had some psychology training, which has benefited me quite a bit, more confident and more self-belief. But I've really enjoyed everything and taken as much advice from Sarah as possible.
They get experiences together that help them grow as people, help them learn to work in a team environment, and also then help them to progress in whichever way they would like to as a cyclist, as a person.
Good stuff, really great to hear from Dame Sarah again. Let's not hang about, let's have a look at today's stage now from West Bridgford to here in Mansfield. In contrast to the lumpy Stage 4, this relatively flat stage will offer some respite for sore legs. After heading out of West Bridgford and through the first of two Cat 3 climbs at Keyworth, the route heads north via sprints 1 and 2 at Eddingley and Retford, before looping back down south through the Sparken Hill KOM and the final sprint at Clumber Park. It's then a 30k dash for the line in Mansfield. West Bridgford lies just over the River Trent from Nottingham. It's famous for containing Trent Bridge, the home of Nottinghamshire County Cricket Club, and also the City Ground, which hosts Nottingham Forest Football Club. Mansfield is a market town in the heart of Robin Hood country. There's been a settlement in the area since Roman times, and the centre is now dominated by a large market square. OK, that's just about it from me for now. Let's get straight to coverage of the race from David Miller and Ned Bolting.
Stage 5 of the Tour of Britain. It's 186.8 kilometres from West Bridgford, just to the south of Nottingham city centre. Well, pleasant, warm sunshine down here at the start line in West Bridgford. We've got a new race leader. You can see the red jersey there belonging to Gonzalo Serrano of Movistar. They're going to have to defend that jersey today.
Yep. I think the good thing for them on a stage like this is a few teams that if once a breakaway goes, and we expect it to be a relatively small one, because there's a high chance that this is one of the few stages which can be guaranteed to be a bunch sprint at the end.
It is an unpredictable race, and this is uncharted territory for Gonzalo Serrano. It's his first ever leader's jersey in a stage race.
Yeah, but the way he won yesterday, it was dominant, and being able to beat Pidcock like he did after a very hard stage, he's going to be difficult to beat, and it's going to take an onslaught, much like Ineos Grenadiers did yesterday, on other stages coming up in order to dislodge him.
DSM are going to be involved in the chase today. I've got no doubt about that. They've got the marquee sprinter in their ranks, Case Bowl, as they go past Trent Bridge Cricket Ground, just on the outskirts of Nottingham, just south of the River Trent. Good luck to some of the British riders in this peloton to try and explain to some of their continental colleagues the rules of cricket. Well, we've got 98 riders starting today, so no non-starters. Mattia Jorgensen was the significant non-starter, or one of a couple of significant non-starters yesterday. But in terms of Movistar, that was a big blow, losing Mattia Jorgensen to illness yesterday. Watch out when the flag drops for one of the two remaining Ribble Weldtite riders who are having a really tempestuous and unfortunate and accident and injury-strewn Tour of Britain. They've only got two riders left, but one of them, a rider called Ross Lamb, he lives less than half a mile from the finish line in Mansfield. a former semi-professional footballer who played football for Mansfield Town and for Notts County at a junior level and picked up cycling thereafter. There are 2 Category 3 climbs on the road today, which means that there are a total of 8 points available to any rider who were to win both of the climbs today. Richie Porter's moved to the front to have a few photographs taken to record his last days in racing. Today, normally where you'd say it's a tough break to try and get in today, isn't it? In the sense that what are you realistically going to get out of it?
Well, my fear is they might take the Alex Richardson tactic.
Yeah, could be a long day.
And they just shut it down.
Yeah.
But that tends to only happen once in a stage race, that a break gets away with that.
Here we go then, the flag drops right on cue, kilometre 0, the race gets underway.
Welcome back to Stage 5 of the 2022 AJ Bell Tour of Britain. After the hard riding of Stage 4, there were fewer attacks off the front today. Finally, Zeb Kiffin of Ribble Well-Tight did get away, and he was then joined by Matt Teggart in the sportsbreaks.com white jersey and Alessandro Iacchi of Team Quebecer. The trio then became a foursome in East Leek with the addition of Joel Nicolo Beltran of Caja Rural. Matt Teggart added to his points tally in Eddingley and Retford, and then Zeb Kiffin decided to go it alone with under 50 kilometres left of the race. He was joined by Beltran, but the other 2 riders from the breakaway were scooped up by the peloton, now led by Ineos Grenadiers. On the approach to the last climb of the day, Matthias Paskens jumped off the front to consolidate his Skoda King of the Mountains jersey. The Dutchman then collected a bonus second in the GC at the last sprint in Clumber Park. As we rejoin our commentary team, it's all getting ready for a bunch sprint into Mansfield. So it's back to David and Ned.
25 kilometres to go. And there's around about 1 minute and 35. It's disappeared off your screens, but that's what we're being told. There we go, 1:24. It's in around about that ballpark anyway. And slightly more significant amounts of rain falling on the race at the moment. And they are relenting now, those 2 riders. It's Border Hansgrohe hit the front once again. Pretty sure it's Lucas Pustelberger. A bit hard to see through those raindrops. It is indeed Lucas Pustelberger. Still Josh Charlton, Michał Kwiatkowski. No DSM. They're not riding on the front any longer. They did have 1 rider contributing, Marius Meyerhofer, but they, at this point, have moved off the front, suggesting that the race doesn't need their assistance at the moment. Everything's firmly under control. 1.5 minutes then, just 2 riders out front now. Jake Scott and Matthias Paskens have dropped back to the peloton. There's no longer any threat in terms of the general classification off the front of this race, so everything's firmly under control for Movistar and Serrano. And this was the moment that Paskens and Jake Scott, just inside 25 kilometres, were swept up by Border Hansgrohe's Lucas Pustelberger. Nonetheless, a good race for Matthias Paskens in the King of the Mountains jersey, who goes clear now of his nearest rival, Jake Scott, by 1 point. Moving on to 29 points relative to Jake Scott's 28 at the end of the day. Trinity Racing with 4 riders trying to fight for space down the middle of the road. Pace is going up. Josh Charlton is stringing things out here with Michał Kwiatkowski, and now DSM do return to the front of the race, have committed a rider. Matthias Meyerhofer comes back to the front. He's going to do a turn once Michał Kwiatkowski has done his latest effort on the front. So 4 teams controlling the 2 riders at the front. The maths is firmly against the duo. 1 minute and 23 seconds and fully 21.5 kilometres before they hit the finishing line. Bardiani CSF down the left-hand side of the road. The Italian national champion Filippo Zana doing the work for Fiorelli, who's probably their fastest rider, despite the presence of Sasha Modolo, or indeed Martin Marcellucci. He might be their dedicated sprinter today. In fact, I think he probably will be, the young Italian.
Yeah, now we've got Ineos Grenadiers we have what we expected to see at some point. The sprinters teams all with riders up there. DSM, GB, Bora Hansgrohe. That's preparing now. All under control, 1 minute 20, 20.9 kilometers to go. On a breakaway, it's been out there all day. That is not a problem for the peloton. Kwiatkowski, if he wanted work, he's getting it.
During your break, David, I was just having a little chat with just telling Dan about it, one of the organisers of the Dave Rayner Fund, that of course funded you in the early stage of your career. And Oscar Onley is one of the recipients of Dave Rayner funding, come through that system as well. 3 riders from the Dave Rayner Fund in this race: Sam Watson, Callum Johnson of Caja Rural, and Oscar Onley, who's going to be part of this train of DSM riders who are moving up. In fact, there he is, just sitting on the wheel of Chris Hamilton, looking after the interests of the big Dutch sprinter, the winner of stage 2, Kees Bol.
I wonder how much more Mikhail Kwiatkowski is going to do. He's quite happy to be up there, mixing in it all. It also allows his team to sit in that pole position. Having a rider in the rotation does give you that right. Moby Star, the leader jersey there, on his own. Right, it's not surrounded by other teams. He has got a couple of riders a bit further back, but quite strange that he's almost using Ineos Grenadiers as his team now.
Yeah. Well, effectively, they've kind of been riding as if they were in support of Movistar and Serrano today. That's been the effect of the work that the Ineos Grenadiers have done. Slowly but surely, they're bringing these two back. 1 minute and 13 seconds. Around about 3 kilometres ago, they still had 1 minute and 30 in the bank, but they are starting to lose time now. Through a litter zone.
It's been a successful day for them. I think they can be very happy with their work and what they've accomplished.
I would say in particular Zeb Kiffin. As you said earlier, David, he animated the breakaway. He got the break going in the first place, and he was the one who attacked and split the breakaway in half, and Nicolau reacted. So I think Kiffin's done really well, just to turn the tide of bad luck as well for Ribble Weltite.
Yeah, agreed. They needed that as a team. It lifts the morale for his other teammate.
Yeah, who would have dearly loved to have got up the road today. It was a real target of Ross Lambs, and he did try in the opening couple of kilometres of attacks, but in the end Zeb Kiffin did what he tried to do, so at least the team were represented in the Nottinghamshire stage, for which they'd obviously prepared with those bespoke helmets that they've deployed on stage 5. Damp conditions now on the run into Mansfield. Not dimming the spirits by the side of the road, particularly, but going to make it that bit more sketchy on the run into the finish line.
Still dry here, so these are sporadic showers.
Some rain yesterday, wasn't there? Oh. I mean, it didn't really fall on the race, but I understand we left fairly soon, Dunscombe Park, after the race finished yesterday. But for those who still had work to do at the finish line, apparently it was thunder and lightning and an absolute deluge yesterday, just after the race came in. And again, really unusual and creative bit of land art there. I like it. Yeah, the time gap's coming down fast, despite the exhortations of the kids from school. 59 seconds. Lucas Pöstelberger, such a strong rider. Joel Nicolau sitting quite far back in his saddle. Just staying out there for as long as they can, these two. Hoping that something changes. There's not much they can do with the peloton this intent on bringing this all back. There's far too many vested interests here amongst the teams looking for a stage win. DSM, of course, have taken a stage win. Ineos Grenadiers have yet to take a stage win, although today they probably don't have a winner from within their ranks. And Team GB have been knocking on the door of a victory.
Yeah, it's a very, very strong chance for Jake Stewart today. He's looking exceptional. We saw him yesterday, the way he was riding on that very hard, hilly stage, almost solely bringing back that very elite breakaway of Pidcock, Tones, and the revelation of the race, Onley. That goes to show the sort of condition he's in.
The margin by which he lost out to Kees Bol could hardly have been smaller, Jake Stewart. Very, very close. And this is a serious opportunity for him to take a maiden victory at his home stage race. Jake Stewart. Got the team riding on the front. Josh Charlton's done a huge amount of work. And the communication is good between Zeb Kiffin and Joel Nicolau, unlike the other two in the breakaway who've been long since caught and passed. A different rider from DSM coming to the front, Leon Heinschke, doing his shift. Well, at the Tour de France they have the devil. Here at the Tour of Britain we have whatever that was. 16 kilometres to go, time gap now, very tellingly, 40 seconds. That's nothing like enough.
Oh, now they can see them on this big straight road. The target is in sight.
Bingdol very active there. They've got a couple of options. I mean, Paskins himself has got a good kick on him, but I think it'll be for Stanislav Aniolkowski, their Polish sprinter. They'll be riding for today in those very identifiable yellow kits on the right-hand side of the road. The Great Britain team and Jake Stewart, that we've just been talking about, are right down the centre in the white jerseys and blue shorts. A little bit detached from the front of the race. Border Hansgrohe in front of them. Then the big line of the Ineos Grenadiers. And a spearhead of Border Hansgrohe and Great Britain. Jordi Meus, their talented sprinter from Border Hansgrohe. If he wins today, it'll be his first win of 2022. So he could really do with a victory.
Not playing games, the peloton. They're just hunting this down relentlessly. Not even thinking of just holding it out there.
"15 kilometres to go for the leaders. Kiffin and Nicolau. And that is Sherwood Forest of Robin Hood fame.
Continues to come down, 34 seconds. So at this rate, these two riders are going to be caught quite a few kilometres before the finish line. This is not going to be a to-the-line chase. And again, this is the learnings from Tuesday. The fact these teams have rallied together, not asked questions, and formed an alliance.
Yeah.
Just is so different to what we saw on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's the kind of mistake you don't make twice, isn't it? Collectively as a bunch, learned how to control this. And the rain is falling, not in a similar fashion to Tuesday stage, the day before yesterday, but nonetheless, it's not a slight problem. A problem that's easier to manage potentially for the riders at the front of the race than it is for the riders in the bunch, especially when the road gets technical as they approach the outskirts of Mansfield. Very, very close now, bearing down on them. Josh Charlton doing the work on the front for Jake Stewart. Jake Stewart in 2022, he's 22 years of age now, conveniently, but in 2022 and this year, tasted his first professional victory. Not so long ago either, in August, on stage 1 of the Tour de l'Ain in France, which is a prestigious 3-day stage race. And he took the leader's jersey as well, obviously, by winning stage 1. He's had some other notable achievements. Started, let's not forget, he started the Vuelta. And had to get dispensation after he didn't start stage 8 to race the Tour of Britain instead. Second into Duns to Kees Bol, 6th on the stage to Sunderland in the sprint for the minor places. I think kind of only sprinting at half cock, so to speak, and losing out to Jordi Meus of Border Hansgrohe on that occasion, who took 5th place in the rain in Sunderland.
Yeah, I think we can expect Jake Stewart to be up there, and especially with Sam Watson. The two of them work so well together. It was Sam Watson that did a brilliant lead out for Jake Stewart on that stage, where he did finish second case ball, and it's going to be interesting together if they said the whole team's there. Again, riding very disciplined.
Yeah, the GB team moving up. Just if the shot were to widen out, you'd see the two riders at the back of the GB team in the red, white and blue helmets. That's Watson with the slightly more slender shoulders. Just coming in the bottom of your frame there's Jake Stewart, the more broadly set of the two riders. The expectation is that Watson will lead out Stewart.
Josh Charlton now has dropped out of the chase. Can't contribute anymore.
Serrano now makes that bend, takes that turn.
What an attack.
Yeah. Kiffin attacking just as the peloton started to breathe down their neck. This is the last attempt to try and stay away Zeb Kiffin, but Nicolau looks firmly in control of that, shuts down the young British rider. Nicolau looks very strong. So too does Kiffin, and they're just dangling off the front there by 10 seconds. 1.5 to go, and they'll be inside the all-important final 10 kilometres, and the lead-out trains will start to do their thing.
Yeah. Not able to make it past 10Ks at this rate. Trinity racing up there again. So the GB rider pulled out, and Trinity put one in. Becoming accustomed to seeing them do this, contributing to the World Tour chases.
Oh, Nicolau attacks now. So these two riders not giving up. Trinity Racing moving up en masse down the white lines in the middle of the road on the right-hand side of the bunch. Just before I came back into commentary, David, at the team buses that are just outside our commentary position here, I bumped into, as I'm sure you did as well, Pat McQuaid, the former UCI president, who's working behind the scenes at Trinity Racing, which is owned and operated by his son, Andrew. And did say it's notable how, stage by stage, your riders seem to be growing into this race, and he said just that. They are really starting to enjoy this race, I think, and find the measure of it, and gain in self-confidence with each passing stage.
As the two resign to their fate, shake hands, game over.
There's Corbin Strong in the blue jersey of the points competition. First time we've really seen Israel Premiertic anywhere near the front today. And for that reason, we haven't really talked about Corbin Strong as much as perhaps we should have done, because he must be one of the big favourites for victory today. The winner of stage one at the Glenshee ski station, and the first leader of this race, still very much in the hunt, both for stage victories potentially and also in the general classification, as one further attempt from Zeb Kiffin. Does this break Nicolau? Can he go with him, the man from Cajarural?
I think like so. They've shaken hands. They'd agreed on. I think he's just doing for one final push
to secure the combativity award. 10 kilometres to go then. Nicolau, you can see, is caught, the rider from Cajarural, with his arm in the air, just dropping back like a stone as the incoming peloton now get themselves into team order, and the lead-out trains persist, and Zeb Kiffin looks round, resigned to his fate, but he is the strongest of the four riders who went off the front in terms of he stayed out there for longest. Lucas Pustelberger is done for now. He drops back to join his Bora Hansgrohe teammates and look for where they are as the GB team take it up on the left-hand side of the road and the Ineos Grenadiers have the right. And Zeb Kiffin is caught, and the race comes back together with 9.6k to go.
Yeah, so Ineos Grenadiers now will just ride in a GC, play like positioning, safety ride. And the other teams who are interested in the sprint, they just have to pace. There's no chase now. It's just a case of holding position until it starts to swarm. But they're all going to be holding back, just looking at each other now. Nobody wants to do too much. They want to save their lead-outs. They don't want to burn through riders any sooner than required.
Quite a formidably strong team, the Great Britain team, supported by that rider in second place there as well, Connor Swift. Integral part of Jake Stewart's lead-out, which is powerfully built. Stewart now has dropped onto the wheel of his lead-out man, Sam Watson. And he's starting to tighten up his shoes and get ready for the sprint. 9k to go. Bardiani down the middle. Pustelberger still involved. Just they're trying to get themselves organised, Bora Hansgrohe. They're a little bit out of position. Kees Bol in conversation there with André Amador of the Ineos Grenadiers.
It's going to be interesting because none of these teams have a purely lead out. I'd say probably GB has one of the best teams for the lead out. Better than DSM, better than Israel's Premier Tech. So
Bora Hansgrohe's got a powerful lead out, hasn't it, with Niels Pollitt and Shane Archbold.
They do.
And Jordi Moyes to finish it off. Mansfield Woodhouse passing through, and Bora Hansgrohe have got themselves sorted, the Austrian national champion.
Shane Archbold just making space there, just dodging the island. Niels Pollitt's a bit further back at the moment, just caught a glimpse of him before, further near the back of the peloton. But he's certainly strong enough, it's a small enough peloton for him to move up whenever he likes. The road is clear.
Jordi Moyes, the young Belgian sprinter, though, is locked onto the wheel of the New Zealander, Shane Archbold. Spent much of his career leading out Sam Bennett, also a teammate at Bora Hansgrohe. Turned his season around, did Sam Bennett, by winning a couple of stages at the Vuelta and then having to abandon the race due to, I think he was one of the COVID casualties, was he, Sam? Or,
I think you're right,
I think he was. There were many COVID casualties at the Vuelta. So DSM alongside the Ineos Grenadiers. That's Cees Bolt's team. Ineos Grenadiers playing it safe there for Tom Pidcock. And Serrano, the race leader, has got one teammate around him, but other than that, he's decided, I think, just to opt to use the Ineos Grenadiers, use their safety, use their positioning, and ride on their wheels.
Yeah, he really is isolated, and it's quite interesting because you'd expect his team to be doing their best with the few they have to protect him. He's got a couple of riders behind him in case anything happens, or equally, he might have just said, look, I'm just going to stay here. I've got Ineos. I'm going to use them as my protection.
Well, that's interesting. Bardiani CSF have almost got two sprinters' trains there. The one on the front has got Marcellucci in third wheel. He's, on the evidence of what we've seen so far at the Tour of Britain, he's their fastest rider, but also Sacha Modolo is still in the mix, but he's got a separate lead-out train. It's almost as if Bardiani CSF might be fighting on two fronts with two different sprinters.
That's not a tactic that's known to work well.
Well, that's Marcellucci coming up on the shoulders of Niels Pollitt there on the left-hand side of the road, and Modolo drops in. So maybe it is one lead-out train after all, and Modolo is the dedicated sprinter for today.
Yeah, they seem to be finding each other now. Got their formation. Bora Hansgrohe, just the Austrian champion Niels Pollitt has made it back up there, but they are just now holding back.
Still the Ineos Grenadiers, as they so often do, with Michał Kwiatkowski orchestrating things, holding one side of the road. It complicates, or it takes away the complications of having to look out on either side of the road. Positioned on the right. Alongside them, DSM. Very stable points in this race at the moment. 6.3k to go. It's too far out to really start to engage the terminal velocity, although Michał Kwiatkowski just cranks it up now with Andre Amador on his wheel, and there's a commensurate reaction from Team DSM as Kwiatkowski, with a turn in the road coming up, just repositions the Ineos Grenadiers, and a bit of road furniture dislodges there Andre Amador, and it gets a little bit scrappy around that corner.
Yeah, straight back on the radio, Kwiatkowski just making sure they're all back together again before they start riding.
Team's just been a bit dislodged, the one from the other, around that complication. Serrano navigating it perfectly and still sitting on the wheel of the Ineos Grenadiers.
He's just glued to Pidcock.
Absolutely. It's quite smart riding from Serrano, actually.
Yeah, it is.
The GB team still very organised. Connor Swift, Bob Donaldson, Jake Stewart, Sam Watson, getting themselves sorted. Felix Großschartner looks around to the left, sees where Shane Archbold and Jordi Moyes are. Three riders still right at the front from Bora Hansgrohe. A holding pattern at 5 kilometres to go. A waiting game before the sprinters' trains. These depleted sprinters' trains, they're not the full deal. Small teams, they don't want to engage too early, so there's a bit of brinkmanship going here and a bit of watching as DSM assert themselves in front of the Ineos Grenadiers. Michał Kwiatkowski, I think, is done, and he starts to drop back. Andre Amador takes it up on the wheel of the rider on the front, on the right-hand side of the road from Team DSM. That's Max Poole. Oscar Onley, the climber, gets onto the front. We've seen so much, a variety of different things from the 19-year-old development squad rider from Team DSM, and here he is right on the front of the lead-out train for Team DSM, trying to set things up for Cees Bol.
Yep, now inside 5Ks, this is where all the teams know the lead-outs are about to fire up. And there you can see it starting to thin out at the front. GB doing a great race. With Sun God, it's Tegat again on the front.
Yeah, setting it up for Rory Townsend, or indeed Jim Brown. Both of those can sprint. There's Jake Stewart already down on the drops, looking hunched, looking purposeful on the wheel of Connor Swift, with his lead-out man Sam Watson just tucked in behind him at the moment for GB. Ineos Grenadiers switch. Tom Pidcock now with Niels Pollitt alongside him. Where's the race leader? Sedano, look at him sprinting on the outside there, expending a bit of energy with no one to look after him, fighting for the wheel once again of Tom Pidcock and gaining it.
Yeah, that's the difference. I mean, although it's a smart position, if he gets knocked out, no one's going to give him that wheel. This isn't the Tour de France yellow jersey where it's given respect. It's just every man for himself out there.
Matt Teggart, the Northern Irishman, the leader of the sprints classification at the moment in the white jersey, having been out in the breakaway for most of the day, sits on the front and does another almighty turn and takes the race through 4 kilometres to go.
That's Teggart done. So now it's thinned out a bit, so GB just sitting there waiting, making sure they're all together.
Dowsett bringing up Strong, Corbin Strong, then on the wheel of Alex Dowsett, and Bora Hansgrohe on the right-hand side of the road with DSM. That's Jordi Meus and Kees Bol's teams.
Yeah, and Bora Hansgrohe looking good, holding back Niels Pollitt. They'll want to only bring him out of about 2Ks to go, I think, if not later. He might even be the penultimate lead-out man before Archibald.
Luke Lamperty being positioned by Trinity Racing on the right-hand side of the road now. Good work from them. Trinity Racing hitting the front with Caporal riding for Edward Prades. Left-hand side of the road then, it's with Sun God riding for Jim Brown and Rory Townsend trying to find the wheels of his team. But Trinity Racing have the front of the race on the right.
Yeah, and there you go, Caporal we're seeing again. Trinity Racing doing another great job. They've got that side of the road, but they've got parallel drag racing on the other side. There it is, there's 3 teams on the other side. GB, perfect position. They're now using those other teams to the advantage after holding placement for so long.
And they're ducks in a row for Bora Hansgrohe. Felix Großschartner, the Austrian national champion, alongside with Sun God's Jake Scott there. DSM switching alongside the German team. Bardiani too, opting for the left-hand side of the road. Trinity Racing with 4 riders on the right. And the King of the Mountains from Bengal has latched onto the Trinity Racing team. But Bardiani asserting themselves at the front, or trying to, alongside Chris Hamilton of Team DSM.
Magnus Sheffield up there on his own, looking very comfortable. Everyone else is fighting. Magnus Sheffield suddenly realised he's got none of his team with him now. So
he's on the front. Felix Großschartner, though, trying to regain the very front of the race, and Niels Pollitt just getting squeezed out.
Here comes Amador, just bringing Pidcock back up, so they're still there. They're safe now, they're inside 3Ks, but they just want to keep out of trouble.
Trinity Racing beginning to get through their number. They've still got Luke Lamperty towards the front. There's a big charge up on the outside of the road from one of the Quebecer riders. They're going to swing right-handed with 2.3 remaining. Good ride on the front from Felix Großschartner, but he's detached from his team. Niels Pollitt looks round. He's got Jordi Meus on his wheel, but I don't think Shane Archibald is there, the lead-out man for Jordi Meus. No. Matt Gibson trying to move up from Human Health Power.
Shane Archibald's been dislodged. There he is, trying to come back up, but he's burning matches to get up there. He needs to save. This is the problem. Niels Pollitt now getting in position. That's a big loss for them.
Pollitt is going to have to lead out Jordi Meus, and he's lost him, Jordi Meus. So Shane Archibald is almost there, and he's almost up alongside Jordi Meus, but it's very, very scrappy for Bora Hansgrohe as Felix Großschartner tries to get to the front again, but the Ineos Grenadiers still have the front of the race.
Yeah, they're holding it. Look at this. This is a chaotic, sketchy finish. So Ineos Grenadiers are just making sure they're avoiding all the trouble and doing a great job. Amador once again proving how important he is to that team. Großschartner still up there.
The road kicks up a little bit. Amador riding on the front. Großschartner peels off. Pollitt has a little wheel or two to close to get across to the front of the race with the 3 riders from the Ineos Grenadiers there. Is that Pidcock on the wheel? It is. Tom Pidcock is there, and he's going to be led out here by Magnus Sheffield. Looks like Amador might try and take this, and Pidcock is trying to get involved in the sprint, David. Yeah. I don't think this is any longer about positioning.
No, this is really good because you can see the chaos that's happened behind. Everyone's scattered. The lead-outs are destroyed. Sprinters are scrabbling. Corbin Strong's making it back up, but they're using so much energy to get back into position.
Jake Stewart on the wheel of Niels Pollitt. There's Jordi Meus, and he's got his lead-out man, Shane Archibald. Pidcock cruising on the wheel of Magnus Sheffield. Nearly inside 1 kilometre to go now.
There you go. Shane Archibald now is in position, but Jake Stewart in prime place there. It's all depending on Niels Pollitt, but he hasn't got his team on his wheel. Does he want to lead out with the GB riders there? Now Ineos Grenadiers Amador has pulled off. Now it's down to Magnus Sheffield. Pidcock is no match for the pure sprinters, but you never write him off.
Kees Bol's on the wrong side. His hand has gone up in frustration. DSM have got that completely wrong. So too have Matt Gibson. The race is on the left-hand side of the road. They're eliminated out of it.
Oh, wow, they literally are.
Tom Pidcock now on the wheel of Niels Pollitt, but it's all about the GB team. Sam Watson then leading Jake Stewart. Actually, it's the other way round. Sam Watson is going to be sprinting. Jake Stewart is leading him out. Watson now alongside Pidcock, the two friends and rivals from Leeds, the next-door neighbours. Pidcock trying to get off the wheel of Sam Watson, but here comes Jordi Meijers. Meijers for Bora Hansgrohe. Meijers is going to take the win. A brilliant win from the Belgian, but Pidcock might have been in the top three there. Bora Hansgrohe get the victory that they've been trying to achieve, and Meijers takes his first win of 2022.
But a good sprint. Good work from Bora Hansgrohe. Watson was just going backwards on the line, and it looks like Pidcock coming up from behind lunges and just gets him.
And the reason that's so significant, to reiterate, let's have a look. Yes, it looks like it does.
Third.
And if that's the case, and we'll have to await confirmation, that is a 4-second time bonus for Tom Pidcock, and that is great for his general classification chances.
3 seconds of the leader's jersey.
We do have to wait for confirmation, but that's what it looked like. And the irony of ironies is that he pips his great friend and neighbour, Sam Watson. It's tight, David.
Be a photo finish, but it does look like he got it.
That's tight.
There we go, see now.
There's
he got it, he got third. Yeah, he got third.
Yes, clearly. You can see Pidcock there, clearly crossing the line ahead of Sam Watson.
What a ride.
Yes, man. Thanks, man.
So, Jordi Meijers of Bora Hansgrohe, the fastest man on the day, with Tom Pidcock collecting valuable bonus seconds as he beats his best friend Sam Watson to take third. The Belgian sprinter taking his first win of the season in Mansfield. Gonzalo Serrano of Movistar still at the top of the GC, but those bonus seconds collected by Tom Pidcock on the line could prove crucial as he lies nicely poised, just 3 seconds down on the lead. The Spanish rider collecting his second AJ Bell red leaders jersey on stage 5. And there's a new wearer of the Dodal Points jersey with Tom Pidcock now in blue.
I think it was a successful day. I think that's what we planned in at the start of the day. You know, we control the brake, make sure there's nothing dangerous happening there, and then do a good lead out and try and get some bonus seconds. And I think that's what we did. I don't think I'm quick enough to win a bunch sprint, but get some bonus seconds is exactly what we wanted to do.
Matthijs Paskens increased his lead in the Skoda King of the Mountains competition, as did Matt Teggett in the sportsbrakes.com sprints classification by making it into the break yet again.
Really pleased to say I've been joined here on the podium by today's stage winner Jordi Meijers of Bora Hansgrohe. Jordi, congratulations. Proficiat, I think, is the Flemish term. The biggest win of your career, do you think?
For sure, it's a really nice win. It's a 2-point pro race, so I think you could say it's the biggest so far.
You have been Belgian under-23 champion as well, which is a big achievement. Just talk us through the sprint at the end there. Were you aware of who was around you at the time? Because Ineos Grenadiers in Andre Amador, who went the wrong way, did a huge turn, and clearly that was for Tom Pidcock. So did you know that he was there and the others as well?
I saw Tom, I saw Jake Stewart also with his sprinter in his wheel. To be honest, I wasn't looking behind me, which is quite hard also at this speed, but I saw the riders who were in front of me, so I had like a little bit of a look who was there,
We thought it was going to be a bunch sprint for the finish. It was. Jordi won. Congratulations again to you. Let's have a quick look though now at tomorrow's Gloucestershire stage. The 170-kilometre Gloucestershire stage heads south out of historical Tewkesbury and onto 2 KOMs at Round Hill and Withington before heading west to Sprint 1 at Cirencester. The peloton continues southwest, and only after 115 kilometres the Tour then heads northwards, taking in the range-worthy sprint. The final sprint of the day at Dursley will set the riders up for the remaining Cat 2 climb at Crawley Hill before a 25-kilometre run into the finish. Jordi, slightly different tomorrow, slightly more climbing and a few uncategorised climbs towards the end of about 15 to 20%. How do you fancy that?
For me it will be hard, I think. I have to be honest, I'm not in my best shape. I had a crash 4 weeks ago in Poland. I broke my collarbone and nose. So I was actually recovering at home, training for 2 weeks, and now I'm here. So obviously I feel there's something missing. But with the win today, I can be super happy, and the shape is not bad. So we try tomorrow, but I can't promise I will be there.
Didn't look like anything was missing today. Well done to you. Really good racing. Really enjoyed that, and we're going to enjoy it again tomorrow. Do join us for Stage 6, the Gloucestershire stage, right here on ITV4. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.